You wanna know what the two most important tools that you'll ever need ever in any situation for any vehicle? Right here. Hey guys, Matt Moghaddam here with Driving Line, and you're watching another episode of Chasing Dust. If you're an off-roader like I am, you've probably put some thought into what kind of tools you wanna take with you when you go and hit the trail. But if you're new to this hobby, you may not know what to bring with you. So the goal of this video today is to show you exactly what I take with me on the trail, how I use it, and how it's all organized. So stick around because we're gonna get right into it. So if you're gearing up for an off-road adventure, of course there's going to be a few things you have to bring with you. One of them is going to be recovery gear in case you get stuck. You want to have some stuff to change a spare tire in case you get a flat. But tools are definitely one of the most important things you want to bring with you on any trail ride, whether it's going to be just for a day or you're going to be going out for a week or two at a time. You want to have a really well built together toolkit. I've put together this brand new tool setup. This is all new. I'm going to go over everything that's in this pile of bags right here. So looking at all three of my rigs, the easiest way to store tools is going to be in these bags. They're kind of modular. You can take just one, or you can take all three or all four, or you can, just stuff them anywhere underneath the back seat. You can put them, in the truck bed. You can put them inside the deck system that I've got in my new Ranger. There's all kinds of ways that you can store these bags. Whereas in a hard case box, everything's kind of piled into this one big thing, and you may not have a good spot for it, or it may not be somewhere where it's secure when you're on the trail. So for me, that was kind of an issue. I wanted to go with something a little bit, I guess, more modular and smaller. So these bags worked out great. So speaking of the bags, these are super awesome. I found this company, this is from Step 22. I found this company actually at an off-road event actually it was 2 months ago, up in Big Bear. They were having an event and they were a vendor for this event. I'd never really seen a solution for carrying tools and other off-road gear that you would need to bring with you that was executed so well and so well thought out. And really it's because the people who make it are off-roaders, and they know what are the nuances of taking stuff with you on the trail, and I think they really got a great product here. So I'm gonna show you guys what this is. This is the Pangolin tool roll from Step 22. I've got 3 of them here. So this may be, again, a little bit overkill for most people's toolkits, but I do have a lot of stuff that I bring with me because I've got 3 different rigs. They all kind of carry, different hardware on each one of these vehicles. So this tool system is gonna take care of all of it. And I was really happy that I could fit everything into these 3 Pangolin bags right here. All right, so here's our Pangolin tool roll number 1. I'm gonna open this up. I'm gonna show you how it works. It's really nice. Basically, you just loosen up this guy a little bit, turn it over to the side to show you guys how it works. And this whole roll kind of just rolls out of it, just like that. So you guys can see, it takes up about, 24 to 30 inches of space right here. And it's all nice and all in one piece. Nothing just rolls and falls out of it. So this actually has 4 different compartments, and then there's 2 small ones over here on the end. And I'll show you one more bonus one after we get through everything else. And it all fits right inside here, and this kind of just sits here basically on the end of the roll. What I've got in this first bag is basically everything you need in the form of sockets and impact and drivers and things like that. So if you need to turn some bolts, this is really the bag that I got to get into to get that. What's great about this Pangolin tool roll is that you actually have these little labels that you can put on each one of these small bags that tell you what everything is, and they're interchangeable. So I went ahead and just wrote what's on everything. And what it also comes with is a wrench roll. So each Pangolin comes with this wrench roll like this, and this is its own piece. Each one of these also comes out. It's really nice to be able to just pull that out, walk over to wherever you're working on something, and use what you need to use. When you come back, you just put it right back in its spot. What's most important is what's inside of all this, so let's get into it. I went to Harbor Freight Tools and I got a full brand new tool setup. So everything in here pretty much is gonna be from Harbor Freight. So I'm not gonna go through and tell you what the part numbers are or anything, but this stuff is all from Harbor Freight. It's all mostly a Pittsburgh brand. It's got a lifetime warranty, so it's really, really nice. And you're not, spending $1 million on Snap-on stuff that you can take into the dirt and just drop into sand and get it all dirty. So I don't really mind using this stuff on the trail because it didn't, cost me a fortune to buy all this stuff, which is awesome. In this first bag, we've got a couple of 1/4-inch socket sets right here, just because they fit a little bit better in there. These are small. You got some deep well, and you got some short well sockets. These are some stuff for like interior panels or anything really small. Also inside this first bag, I've got all my impact sockets. So these are what you use on an impact gun. I've got a Milwaukee 18-volt impact. It's a 1/2-inch size driver. So these are great for taking off tires, big suspension bolts, anything that you need a lot of power for. Okay, getting into the second bag here. This is my driver bag. So first and foremost, we got this roll in here. This is a 26-piece screwdriver set from Harbor Freight from Pittsburgh. And basically this is just a ratcheting screwdriver and it's got a bunch of bits on it. Super nice because you're able to swap these out and just get to whatever you're doing, and it's ratcheting. So that's really nice to have. And it fits pretty well inside this little bag right here. Setting this aside. Pangolin's great because you can put everything inside this when you're got the whole thing laid out and open. I've also got a set of 3/8 drive Torx and hex heads. These are great if you can't get a key into a spot to turn a bolt or a nut or whatever it is, and that's why I have these. Also in here are all the drivers. So I've got a 1/2-inch, got the 3/8, and the baby quarter. I like the swivel heads. These are from Pittsburgh. They're great because you can get into some tight spots when you can't really get a full turn when they're straight up and down. Also got a ton of extensions in here with wobblies on them so that you can get into those weird locations where it's really hard to kind of get a direct wrench on there. So that's this bag right here. In bag number 3 is going to be most of the socket sets that I've got. So this is going to include short and deep well for the 1/2-inch drive, the 3/8 drive, and the 1/4-inch drive. And it fits all of this stuff in there pretty easily. I'm not gonna take all of them out, but you can really see that they all fit very well. I've got these all in metric and standard because I do have both kinds of hardware on these vehicles that I take out there. And it's always good to have the right tool. You don't want to strip off a nut or something and then you're really stuck out there. So I like to have both metric and standard, although you can probably get away with just one set. I prefer to have both. So let's pull out this wrench roll and show you guys how this works. I'm gonna set this whole thing aside for just a moment so I can roll this all the way out. Wrench roll, as you can see, it's got step 22 on there. Each Pangolin's got one. So I actually have 3 wrench rolls between the 3 bags that I've got. This one says R on there because these are my ratcheting wrenches. The other 2 are gonna be for my metric wrenches and my standard wrenches, which are non-ratcheting. So this pack right here, look how nice that is. It just opens right up like that. Got their nice logo right here. Pop this up. And here are all of my ratcheting wrenches. I've got them both in standard and metric in this bag right here. Pretty much all the common sizes that you would need a ratcheting wrench for. And they all fit so nicely inside this wrench bag. It was really, really nice to have this because everything is just kind of self-contained. There's no messiness to it. There's no, disorganization. It's all nice. They've also given you another small pouch here where you can put some smaller tools. I've got a few picks in here. These picks are really come in handy when you have to get some dirt out of something or something like that when you're out on the trail. Let's say you got a sensor that's got some dirt in it and it's giving you some problems. These are great to have. So I'm gonna put this back together. As you can see, it's really, really easy to just roll it up. And you just put this hook through it, just like that, and then tighten it. And it goes right back onto the Pangolin, just like that. So there's also 2 little pockets on the end of each one of these. Inside this one, I've got all of my driver wobblies, and I've got my driver conversions. That's gonna convert everything from, a 1/4 to a 3/8 or a 3/8 to a 1/2 or vice versa. So these are all going to be inside this little guy here, easily accessible. It's also clear so you can see it and you know what's in there. In the second one, I've got a pair of flush cuts because I don't want to get these messed up with all the other tools that are in these bags. Flush cuts are great for cutting zip ties. Flush, that's why they call them a flush cut. It's really not a good idea to cut those with scissors or a blade or something because they can leave sharp ends on them, and those zip ties can make you bleed. So these flush cuts are great for that. I've also got a box knife in there, or utility knife. This comes in handy for a lot of things, cutting hoses, cutting anything basically that you need to get into. And I've also got a lighter, just in case you have to start a fire or something. It's always good to have one here. I've always got one in the truck with me in case something happens and we need to start a fire quickly. You know, if it's cold out. I go to the desert in the wintertime, and sometimes it can get pretty cold. So having a lighter is a pretty good idea to have. This Pangolin's also got one more surprise, and that is the zipper that runs along the entire thing. This is for flat storage, and microfiber towels fit perfectly in there. So I've got microfibers in all three of these Pangolin wrench rolls, sorry, the Pangolin tool rolls. In case you need to wipe some grease off of something, or you just want to wipe your face off, like these are just really, it come in handy for a lot of things. So microfibers are definitely a must. So when you're all done, all you got to do is just roll this back up into this Pangolin, and it rolls up pretty nicely in there. This is the biggest Pangolin, or the heaviest one that I've got out of the three. So this one's a little bit tough to roll back together, but it definitely does fit. I give it a little bit of a shake, and it all kind of falls into place. Again, this is a huge, huge bag. I filled this one up to the brim. So this one we're going to set aside for right now. All right, next up is going to be Pangolin number 2. This one's a little bit lighter, a little more compact. I've got less stuff in there. Let's open it up and see what's inside. Okay, again, same setup. You've got 1, 2, 3 bags. These 2 are detachable, and here's your wrench roll. So inside this wrench roll, I've got all of my metric wrenches right there. In this compartment for the second wrench roll, I've got a few things, little oddball stuff. I've got a flashlight pen. This is always good to have in case you have to get a light into something that's really tight. I've got a tire gauge that's just sitting in here in case I need to check tire gauge. I do have a few of these in the vehicle, so this is kind of redundant to have on in this bag here. I've also got a telescoping magnet. Really nice to have. Grab, pick up nuts, bolts, whatever may fall somewhere in the crevices of your engine bay or wherever. Additionally, I've got a few punches in case you have to, you know, line up a bolt or something like that. It's really great to have. You just get it in there and tap it with a hammer, which I do have in the kit. I'll show you exactly where in just a minute. In this first bag right here, I've got adjustable wrenches and pliers. So this may be overkill. I've got a lot of different little pliers in here. These are the smaller pliers for getting into small stuff, getting a hose clamp off maybe, or you know, just whatever you may need pliers for. There's a lot of things you may need them for. I've also got a set of snap ring pliers in this bag. There's a few parts of a vehicle that have snap rings on them, and without them, you're sitting there with like 2 picks and you're trying to get it, and when you get it off, the snap ring goes flying and you're never gonna find it. So having the right tool for the job, snap ring pliers, definitely a must. I've got some heavy duty scissors in here, so this can cut through, you know, more than just paper, just heavier stuff. And then of course, I've got all the adjustable wrenches. I've got a few different sizes, all leading up to the big daddy of all. This is just a big 12-inch, you know, in case you have to really get some power on something, tighten it down where you can't get a regular wrench. In this bag here, I've got screwdrivers and I've got hex keys. The hex keys are a good thing to have. They also come in standard and metric, so I've got 2 sets of them. I like this Pittsburgh set because everything is nice and organized, and it just fits perfectly inside the Pangolin bag. I've got both Phillips head and flathead, and then I've also got stubbies of each. So there's a couple different ones in here, different sizes. I just like to have a variety of screwdrivers for different uses. In this bag right here, the third one, I've got some pliers, I've got some electrical connectors, strippers, or whatever you want to call them, wire cutters. Wire strippers is the real name for this, but it does a few things. All the different kinds of, you know, angled pliers you might need. Inside the end bags here, I've got a couple things. This first one, all the heads for my snap ring pliers. They have different heads for different snap rings. And then the second one, I've got a magnetic tray for holding on to hardware when I'm working on something. You don't lose all your bolts and nuts. It's all about organization. I've also got some microfibers in this one, and that's pretty much it for bag number 2. Next up is contestant number 3. This is bag number 3, our third Pangolin tool roll of the night. This one has a few more unconventional tools that you might not think that you need, but you definitely should bring with you. Again, same setup, nothing new here. You guys have seen this twice already, so I'm not gonna go into how it's laid out. First bag, we've got some picks and some files. So these are some of the larger picks, like this, angled ones, straight ones. And I've got a few other things that I couldn't fit on the label, so I'm gonna show you what they are. Here I've got a chisel. This is a really big flat, I think it's like 2.5 inch or something. It's a 3-inch big head chisel. There's a lot of reasons why you might need this to, pound some metal back into shape if it gets bent on a rock or something. There's a few instances where I've had to shear a bolt head off just to be able to get something unstuck or taken out of a vehicle or, underneath the truck or something. You never know why you might need a chisel, so it's good to have one. I've also got a couple of pry bars in here. These are some small ones that fit in this bag. I've got a few larger ones too, but these will fit in here, so I just kind of throw them in. I've also got some long needle nose pliers with some angled ones too. If you want to reach down and grab something, these are always great to have. Okay, bag number 2 is electrical. What I've got in my electrical bag. First things first, you want a test light. If you have any kind of an electrical gremlin, maybe you have a short circuit or something, or you have something that's not working and it should be working, whether it's engine related or if it's auxiliary lighting or radio or whatever it is, this test light is going to help you identify where you're missing power or where power is going to something it shouldn't be. It's very basic. This is from Harbor Freight. It's just got a alligator clamp on one end that goes onto a ground, and then you just probe this on anything that you think should have power. If it does have power, there's a light bulb inside this clear handle that lights up and it shows you exactly what's got 12 volts going to it. It also works on 6 volts. So if you have a motorcycle or something, then it also works on that. I've got a little bit of spare wire. Very rarely do I need to rewire anything on the trail, but it's always good to have, 12 feet of wire or something in case you have to jump something or just to get home. Maybe your headlights blow out, whatever it may be. I've got old trucks. Sometimes weird things happen electrically. I've got another set of old wire strippers in here. Sometimes I've needed another set because one's being used by somebody else. It's happened before, so I'm redundant and I have another set in here. These 2 boxes are not new. They look very old. They've been sitting in my old box, but I couldn't bring myself to buy new ones because these were unopened for the most part. This one right here just has some of these hose clamps. It's an assortment of hose clamps for different diameter hoses. Looks like they're kind of rusted, but they'll work. And they're just the, the tension type where you just slide it over and let it snap closed on the hose. I've also got a set of fuses in here. These are for older vehicles that don't have the tiny fuses. These are just the regular, everything from a 5 amp to a 30 amp ATC or ATO blade fuses. That's pretty much it for the electrical box. Pretty simple kind of deal here for doing quick electrical repairs. The label on the third bag says tape, but there's a few other things in it as well as tape. So let's open it up. Safety goggles. Please carry safety goggles with you. I cannot tell you how many simple off-road repairs have ended in injury because somebody wasn't wearing some safety goggles while they were doing something. It happens all the time. It's happened in my groups of friends too. So do not cheap out. Just buy a set of these, bring them with you. Even if you don't wear them, hopefully somebody will see them and they'll tell you to put them on. I've got a set of 2 different kinds of 3M tape here. These are both double-sided sticky 3M. Some body panel falls off or is loose or something. This is nice to keep it on, trim pieces, whatever it may be. That's what these are really for. I've got 2 rolls of electrical tape here for the electrical work that you may be doing. That's pretty self-explanatory. Make sure you don't, short out or anywhere. And then I've got a tape measure. This is a 16 foot. I can't really imagine why I would need one, but if I need to take a measurement of something and send someone into town to pick up some spare steel or something like that, this is good to have. And onto the wrench roll. We've already gone over the ratcheting style. We've already gone over the metrics, so you can guess by process of elimination. Yes, these are the standard wrenches. I'm gonna open this guy up because there's a few other things in here besides the standard wrenches. So of course I got all the standard wrenches, everything from 1 1/8" down to 1/4 inch. The little second pocket in here. I have a few more punches in here, just some smaller ones. I've got a center punch, so this is nice to have. It's kind of a spring-loaded center punch. And then I've got a feeler gauge in here. Never know when you might need one of these. Feeler gauges are good to have. All right, so putting this wrench roll back together, we're gonna go into the 2 end pockets here, where we've got a few consumables that I want to talk about. Consumables are items that aren't really tools. They're things that you may need to use, and when you do use them, you need to replace them if you run out of them. First things first, I've got some super glue from Gorilla Glue. Lots of applications for super glue, including medical ones. I've closed up cuts with this stuff, but really if you need to use it, it's going to be on, just making sure you stick interior stuff together or whatever you need to do. It's usually not like, for anything mechanical or, that bears any weight to it. So that's that. One thing you always want to keep inside your tool bag, and old guys will tell you this too, JB Weld. You want to have the 2 components to it to mix them. It's gotten me out of some bad situations. If I've broken something, I've even put JB Weld over an oil pan crack, and it held together to get me off the trail and back home to when I can actually swap the oil pan out. It didn't leak anything. It was seeping a little bit, but it didn't leak. So JB Weld has a lot of different applications. It's a very high-end epoxy that works on metal, and it's definitely something to carry with you. Additionally, I've also got what some people call RTV or gasket maker. This is from Permatex. This is the brand that a lot of people use. It's very popular. This is the Right Stuff or the 90-minute gasket maker. So I got this tube of it because usually the other stuff, the regular gasket maker, red RTV, it takes about 24 hours to set up. If you're on a trail and you're kind of moving and you don't want to camp for a night and make sure whatever's leaking isn't leaking in the morning, this is great because it sets in 90 minutes and you can get back on the trail. So, taking an hour and a half to get something to cure, I'm fine with just kicking back, maybe taking a quick nap or whatever it is on the trail before taking off again after using this. Also comes with a applicator tip here, which is a little bit easier to, use on smaller surfaces. And then last but not least, we've got blue Loctite thread locker. This is from Permatex, not from Loctite, the brand itself, but it works the same way. Blue is the stuff that you can break open with a hand tool. Do not use red Loctite on something unless you really want to start sitting there with a torch and heating it up before you break it open. But if you have a screw or a bolt or something that just keeps backing off with vibration, this is the stuff to use to keep it on there. You just gotta let it set on there, tighten it down, and it will hold it. Then the second bag here, we've got a utility blade. This is kind of a cheap one that I carry around for like cutting open stuff that I don't want to ruin my nice one on. And I've got a scraper that's got a blade on there to scrape off gaskets. If you need to make a new gasket using this, you're gonna need one of these to scrape off the old gasket. So this is great to have. I know that this stuff may be for people who have older vehicles that may have engine trouble or water pump problems or oil leaks and stuff, but not all of us have new vehicles. So this stuff does come in handy for those guys. It's definitely come in handy for me too. I've also got microfibers in here, and that's pretty much it for Pangolin number 3. All right, so now that we've gone through the 3 Pangolins, we're gonna go through the last bag, which has all the bigger, bulkier items in it, stuff that won't fit inside of a tool roll. And I've got that inside of a Hercules bag from Harbor Freight. This is actually a 16-inch version of this bag, and very similar to like most tool bags you've seen. But I've got all of the stuff that I need in here that won't fit inside those 3 Pangolins. So we'll go through it one by one. First things first, I've got a terminal set. This is basically a full set of different electrical terminals. It's got all different sizes. You got butt connectors, you've got ring terminals, spade connectors, male and female, everything from 22 gauge to 10 gauge wire, which is the majority of what you're gonna be doing repairs on. Next up, I've got a power tank tire repair kit. This is a pretty nice little setup that I got with my power tank. If you guys don't know what a power tank is, it's a CO2 tank that I use to air up my tires. Got its own set of pliers, pressure gauge. It's got a couple of extra valve stems, which are nice in case you break one or something or one of them is leaking. You've got your tire plug kit. So if you don't know how to install a tire plug to keep you going, it's definitely something you want to have. There's lube in here and a small cutter so that you can get these plugs, into the hole and kind of patching up whatever air leak there may be. This is a nice kit. It's all kind of inclusive, and it also comes with directions too. So I like having this kit with me, although I've never needed to use it because I've got Ridge grapplers and they do fantastic off-road. Next up, we've got every off-roader's favorite tool, zip ties. These are 2 different sizes. One's a 5-inch, the other one's a 12, or maybe this is a 14. This may be a little bit longer. Anyways, zip ties are indispensable on the trail. I mean, I couldn't tell you, how many things I've fixed with just a few of these. It's crazy, but don't rely on them too much. Just have them with you. I have 2 packs of them in 2 different sizes. That's all I really need. Next up, I've got a couple of C-clamps. In case you need to work on something a little bit long term or hold something down while you work on it, or maybe you need to hold 2 things together for a while. Even if you need to replace a brake pad, these can work too, because they can push the piston back into the caliper so that you can get your new brake pads in. I don't think you'd ever want to be doing that on the trail, but regardless, I got 2 sizes of these C-clamps. These are good to have. You want to know what the 2 most important tools that you'll ever need in any situation for any vehicle? Right here. This is for keeping things together. This is for pulling things apart. I was told that a long time ago, and it's so true. WD-40 does wonders for getting bolts that are old and rusty, broken free. It also does a great job at keeping raw metal from corroding or oxidizing quickly. So if you have a small can of this in the truck, it ain't gonna hurt to have it. I definitely like carrying it with me in case you have to break a stubborn bolt loose. Got a set of gloves here. Also another a safety item, but it's easy to grab inside this bag instead of the tool roll. Sometimes you don't wanna screw up your hands, so having gloves is a good thing to have. For some of the bigger, bulkier items, I've got a 16-ounce ball peen hammer. This is great for hitting the end of something with this ball peen side. It's also got a flat end over here. Hammers are always going to be good to have with you when you're off-road. I've also got this more of like a drilling hammer or sledgehammer style. This is another good one to have if you have to get something that's really unstuck. I've also got a larger version of the pry bar as you guys saw earlier. So this is just a larger one that didn't fit in the tool roll. Rubber mallet, in case you don't want to mar whatever you're trying to hit. This is great to have. It's got a white and a black end, so it doesn't leave marks and stuff. I do like this mallet from Harbor Freight. It was a good one to have. So I keep it with my other hammers. I've also got a 1/2-inch breaker bar. This is great for breaking, really big bolts that have a lot of torque on them. U-bolts for your leaf springs, any kind of suspension bolt that's got a big nut or a big bolt on there. A breaker bar is pretty nice to have. And what you shouldn't use as a breaker bar, but a lot of people do, is a torque wrench. This is a 1/2-inch regular old, no frills, click style torque wrench. You set it manually, no digital readout, no buzzing, no beeping, just really simple on off, and just gives you a nice click when you're ready to go. And last but not least, I've got a couple of markers inside my bag. I've gotten to know a lot of fabricators over the last 10 years or so, and one thing that you see in common between all of them is they all carry a marker in their pocket, and they always seem to come in handy when you need it. So I carry a red one and a black one in my bag. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna put this stuff back here. You might be wondering what these actually weigh and how big they actually are, so you can see if they would work in your situation. So I went ahead and measured and weighed these bags individually before I started filming this episode. All of these are about 95 pounds together. Each one of the Pangolins is about 16 by 12 by 8. So if you can kind of imagine how big that is, about 16 wide by about 12 long and about 8 or 9 tall, depending on how full you have it. But that was the biggest one that I measured. So, they fit really well. They're nice and compact, and they're really easy to carry around with these handles here. So really nice setup here as far as any rig that you may have that you may need some tools for. Carrying just one of these could be in the difference between being stuck on the trail forever or getting out of there within a couple hours. And that's really what the goal is be prepared for most of what you can be prepared for, but not too overly packed to where you're bogged down with a bunch of weight and you can't find whatever it is you're looking for. So finally, the question that's probably been on your mind the entire time I've been talking here. how much does all this cost? How much of an investment do you need to make into the tool system that you carry with you on the trail? The total cost for all the tools that you see here, not including the bags, was about $800. It was give or take, because I did buy some other stuff that I needed for the shop, but I kind of counted through the receipt and it was about $800 for everything that I needed here. And that's without using, you know, coupons and any of that stuff. That was basically at whatever the retail cost was. The price of these Pangolins, these are $145 each, and they do include that 17 slot wrench rule that comes inside of it. I know that that may sound a little bit expensive, but honestly, I bought one and I loved it so much that I went ahead and I bought 2 more because they're so nice. I mean, this is a complete solution for what I need. And if you really only need one of them, $145 is not at all a bad price for what you get out of just one of these bags. Definitely check out Step 22. They've got a lot of really, really cool organization solutions just like this. Their website is step22gear.com, so go take a look at what they got. Of course, I have a whole nother video that I could make about the recovery gear that I bring with me and some of the other stuff that I bring, like, you know, jacks and things like that. But for now, this is the toolkit. If you need like the end all be all toolkit of off-road toolkits, I think this is it right here. And it's a super nice solution to be able to, you know, change all the tools out of these bags and take whichever one I need with me. So please drop in the comment section below if you guys have any questions about any of this stuff. You know, I'm happy to answer it. Or even if you have a really cool trail repair story or something. I love reading about that stuff, so let me know. I've definitely had a few, so I know what it's like to have to be out in the middle of nowhere and fix something just to get home. If you're on social media, please follow Driving Line 2. They have all their cool content on there as well, posted daily. I mean, they do a great job of that. And if you want to follow me, it's at Desert Chief on Instagram. So hit that follow button on there too. This is also going to be our last episode for 2020. What a crazy year it's been. But I hope you guys have a great holiday and a happy new year. That's going to do it for us today on Chasing Dust, you guys. I'm Moghaddam. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.